Wait, an old school Hollywood guy is actually coming out and defending the MCU? Even crazier, it's actually Harrison Ford of all people doing it. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not that crazy. Let's discuss.
Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'm Grifter Joe, and I approve this message. This election season, I think it's important for everyone to remember what freedom is all about. It's about drawing a line in the sand, picking sides, name-calling, and arguing, and ultimately accomplishing absolutely nothing. If Hollyweird endorses something, then we know the right course of action is to go in the other direction. To the surprise of no one, Harrison Ford, aka Han Solo, has came out and publicly endorsed Marvel Studios. Anyone with half a brain knows that Marvel Studios is responsible for the downfall of entertainment and humanity, and their reign of terror cannot be allowed to continue. So I think it's time for all of us to take a stand and choose an alternative. Granted, I don't know what the alternative is, because in my opinion, everything sucks. I apologize, it's bad enough that we have to watch these cringe ads when they're on TV, but in the middle of a YouTube video? That's unacceptable. Anyways, over the past several years, we've had a laundry list of people come out and give their opinions on the current state of cinema, and how the MCU is at least partially responsible for dumbing audiences down. Francis Ford Coppola, Quentin Tarantino, Ridley Scott, and of course, Martin Scorsese have all weighed in. And let's be honest, a lot of their criticisms have hit a little bit too close to home, and have rubbed a lot of the fanboys the wrong way. And I get it, some people have a way too personal connection to these movies for whatever reason. But I've always personally been of the opinion that absolutely nothing is above criticism, especially most of the formulaic projects that make up the MCU. Well, now it appears that fanboys have a reason to feel validated instead of attacked. Because Harrison Ford had something to say about the idea of respected actors avoiding the MCU films. He said, quote, "We're silly if we sit around regretting the change and don't participate. I'm participating in a new part of the business that, for me at least, I think is really producing some good experiences for an audience. I enjoy that." Harrison Ford is of course playing Thunderbolt Ross in next year's Captain America Brave New World.
You're pathetically predictable.
I'm going to start this off by saying that my personal criticisms of the MCU have absolutely nothing to do with me being stuck in the past, or me just not being willing to adapt and move forward. In fact, I think recently the MCU has been mostly responsible for the absolute standstill that we've been experiencing in the entertainment industry. In my opinion, these movies have not adapted with the passing of time. If anything, they've regressed because the studio got lazy when audiences got complacent. If Harrison Ford were saying this at the height of the MCU, I probably personally still wouldn't agree, but at least his comments would have made a lot more sense. The truth is that he's joining the MCU during a down period that was brought on by a creatively bankrupt studio, causing their audience to lose interest in the brand.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I mean, the writing has been on the wall for some time. How many actors, writers, directors, and VFX workers have come out and said how unfulfilling it is as an artist to work on these projects? Is it really that hard to understand that some actors might not want to be involved with the laziness and dysfunction that comes along with being in an MCU movie? Also, this is not a new part of the business. It may be new for Harrison Ford, but this has been going on for 16 years.
It's been 84 years.
Harrison Ford is getting in on this fad in the late stages of its relevance. The MCU used to produce good experiences for its audience, but those experiences are now few and far between. In fact, the bad experiences outweigh the remotely good experiences 10 times over. Listen, I have no doubt that Harrison Ford still finds some level of enjoyment in what he does, otherwise he would not continue to do it. That being said, no offense to the legend, but he is the last person that I'm going to listen to when it comes to talking about what a good cinematic experience is. We're talking about a guy who willingly signed up for 2 projects that systematically destroyed 2 of his most iconic characters. I mean, the fans love Han Solo. Yet it seems like Harrison Ford has been trying to distance himself from that role for most of his career. The only reason he came back was because Han was finally getting killed off, which is what he ultimately wanted.
Good luck. You're gonna need it.
And they killed him off in the least satisfying way possible, by the way. A deadbeat dad falling to his death after getting stabbed through the heart by his emo son. And then we have Indiana Jones, and let's just say, if you thought that Crystal Skull was bad, well, Disney, Lucasfilm, and Harrison Ford said, hold my soy latte. Another unsatisfying conclusion for one of the greatest characters ever put on screen, played by Harrison Ford. And at the root of both of these missteps is the almighty dollar. Now, I'm not one to discourage anyone from getting their bag when they can get it, but I'm not a big fan of that when it comes at the expense of some of my cinematic heroes. Harrison Ford was more concerned with a paycheck than he was giving these characters a proper finale. And I know that because a person who truly cares would not have signed up for such projects.
Son of a bitch.
Which actually makes him the perfect candidate for an MCU film, and then he can publicly try to portray it as anything more than mindless, soulless, forgettable entertainment. As I've said many times before, there will always be a place for these types of movies. I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist, but they most certainly should not have been allowed to dominate the market the way that they have for the past 16 years. It is the very reason why we lacked variety in our entertainment for so many years. Because everyone from the studio to the audiences felt like the MCU way of making movies was the only way to make movies. Thankfully, we are starting to move away from that mentality now. It's just unfortunate that someone as iconic to the film industry as Harrison Ford is not aware that people are starting to move on. For all of these reasons and more, it makes it very difficult for me to buy into the idea that Harrison Ford truly believes the things that he is saying. I'm Cancel Joe, and I approved this message. If that grifter got time to spread his propaganda, then I am entitled to an equal amount of time to spread mine. Ugh. Not again. What's amusing to me is that none of you are acknowledging that theaters are on a decline without Marvel Studios propping them up. Yet you want everyone to believe that the MCU has done more damage than it has done good? Wasn't Deadpool and Wolverine one of the biggest hits of the year? Harrison Ford has earned my respect with his endorsement. Mostly because he's upsetting all the incels and man-babies just like all of you. Mr. Ford is not stuck in the past. He is embracing the future. A future where Marvel continues to bless us with an endless line of quality entertainment. Sorry if all the racists, homophobes, and Marvel-phobes have a problem with that.
Y'all be cool. Right on.